His first playoff exposure and such limited experience in the NFL to be in this position leading a division champion.
On 3rd and 8, off the play fake. Good protection, and he throws a strike for a first down to Chris Carter at the Redskins' 43-yard line.
Well, perhaps this is what the offense has lacked while Chris Carter's been out of it. He is a big playmaker for the Vikings, has been ever since he came here. Buddy Ryan getting rid of him in Philadelphia turned into a major star here. This is not an easy ball to catch. It's thrown behind Carter. He spins around and covers it up as he goes down. That was a ball thrown behind Carter and a good catch.
Boy, Mayhew had his hand right in front. That ball barely missed it.
That was a 14-yard pickup, and Salisbury going deep for Carter again. Caught at the 1-yard line.
Oh, wow. I mentioned about Carter coming from Philadelphia, cut by Buddy Ryan, and that's what he did for the Eagles. 11 touchdowns in that season of '89. Ryan let him go, and he made many of them just like that by going up and taking it away from a defender.
Kirk Loudermilk, the center, gives Carter a headbutt on the 1-yard line and almost knocks him out the back of the end zone. Denny Green all week. We have to get off to a quick start. We can't allow the Redskins to dictate to us the pace of the game. I would classify this as a quick start.
That's a great catch by Carter. Mayhew, great position on him. He just went up and took it away.
Randall McDaniel, the guard, is the fullback in the eye, and he leads the way for Allen. Touchdown. '79-yard drive, the big play, the 42-yard pass to Carter. The drive began with a measurement on 3rd down for a first down. They converted, and they keep on going and lead 6-zip.
Well, what this drive also started with, Alan Frank, was a number of successful running plays. They hammered away for a couple first downs on the ground, exactly the way you'd like to get started. Soften things up in the middle and then throw the ball. And Salisbury, whatever jitters he had, are long gone as he stakes his team to the 7-0 lead.
After gaining 2 first downs on their opening drive, the Redskins were forced to punt. And as we pick up the action, the Vikings have possession on their own 22-yard line.
Well, this is Roger Craig on his first carry, and he is run out of bounds by Andre Collins.
They use Roger Craig as a little more than just relief for Terry Allen. He's had a pretty good year, over 400 yards rushing, 22 receptions. Very good receiver out of the backfield, as you can recall from his great days with the 49ers and a year ago with the Raiders. Very effective out of the backfield as receiver.
2nd and 10. Fake to Craig. And Salisbury going deep. And there's contact, but incidental on a pass intended for Anthony Carter. Picked off by Mayhew. And Mayhew with a great run back out of bounds at the 32-yard line. Gary Zimmerman guided him out as he took it all the way back to just about the line of scrimmage.
You could see that Anthony Carter lost his footing about 3 or 4 yards before the pass got there and allowed Mayhew to basically just watch right here. Watch Carter loses his footing. And so uncontested, Martin Mayhew is able to intercept that pass.
That was a 44-yard interception return, and Ernest Biner on first down takes it to the 31 with 2:15 to play in the opening quarter. 7-0 Minnesota.
That's he got across the line of scrimmage. They still play defense the way Floyd Peters, who's the defensive coordinator in Tampa now, used to coach it. He told his front four, I want you to rush the passer every down. And if by chance you happen to run into the guy who's carrying the ball, well, then that's a bonus. That's still the way this Viking front four attacks the line of scrimmage.
On 2nd and 8, this is Monk on a sweep, and he takes it to the 27-yard line. That's Ron Middleton in motion. And it's Ernest Biner.
That's an incomplete pass.
Incomplete pass. A forward pass, and it's simply an incomplete pass, and the Redskins can't convert, and will have to settle for a field goal attempt. The pressure that time put on by Al Noga, number 99.
Shame of it is for Washington, Look at Biner and how open he is.
Whoa.
He's got the blocker out front and Ray Brown. And it's hard to conceive that Biner wouldn't have picked up enough yardage for at least the first down. So
and he just took his eyes off it.
Yep.
Griffin laid it in there just soft as a pillow, and he just looked for his next move in the run, took his eyes off the ball and lost it.
44-yard field goal attempt for Chip Lohmiller, who is terrific on artificial turf and terrific in this stadium. He played his college ball at the University of Minnesota, and Chip Lohmiller loves the Metrodome.
The reason he loves the Metrodome is because he used to play there in college. So at the end of the first quarter, no quarterback really lighting up the Metrodome. If anything, it's been Sean Salisbury that looks like last year's Super Bowl MVP instead of Mark Rippon. But it's really been both teams' defenses that have dominated play early in this game. For the second quarter of this winner-takes-all battle, join us after this break. Welcome back, everyone. Well, neither team started the second quarter in decisive fashion. First, Harry Newsom's punt was caught by Brian Mitchell on his own 17-yard line. And just look at this, as he takes it all the way back to the Vikings' 28-yard line. But then the Redskins threw it away, as Rippon was intercepted by Todd Scott, who proceeds to run it back to the 36-yard line. So as we pick up the action, Minnesota have a 1st and 10.
And here is Terry Allen on first down after the turnover up to the 40-yard line.
Well, the last one was a gift from Carl Lee, because Carl Lee had the ball right in his chest. It should have been Lee's interception, and instead he mishandles it, and it pops right up into the air, and the alert Scott picks it up. But look at this. Look at Mark Rippon. Apparently, it almost looks like he's staring at Carl Lee. Lee doesn't handle it, and Scott is there for the INT. But again, that was an excellent look at the Washington quarterback staring right at number 39, Carl Lee. I don't know what Mark must have been thinking.
On 2nd and 7 from the 40. And that pass is picked off by Brad Edwards. And Edwards to the 33-yard line after faking the lateral and holding on. And Washington with a big break. And Wilbur Marshall with the pressure that time on Salisbury.
Yeah, Wilbur came on a blitz up the middle, and he flushed Salisbury, and this was the type of a motion that Richie Pettibone wanted to create. Salisbury is a classic sit-in-the-pocket quarterback. They want him on the move.
Look at
that's
Edwards.
a ball that just sails on him, Frank.
Great hands. Now, he almost laterals the ball off to Mann here. Mann standing there, hey, I want it. And he very wisely tucks it away.
But that's a relatively easy completion to Chris Carter. That ball just floated and sailed on Sean Salisbury. But that's where the Redskins want him. They want him moving, flushed from the pocket.
Edwards intercepted 6 during the regular season. First down at the 33. And it's a 2-yard gain for Ernest Biner. Down to the 31-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 8 with 10:55 to go in the half.
It's a pretty stout Viking defensive line on first down so far in this game.
On 2nd and 8, that's Ron Middleton in motion out of the full house backfield. And the pass is low and incomplete, intended for Ernest Biner. It'll be 3rd down and 8.
Frank,
I don't know.
that's just a horrible pass by an NFL quarterback.
You almost have to think the confidence is just gone. He's been abused ever since he reported late to camp this year. Nothing ever got in sync. The same people were there early in the season, then the injuries came, but there's no way to explain that one. There's no way to explain the one that Lee deflected into Scott for the interception. It's just lack of your own personal confidence, I would have to say.
That's Corey Conklin, the backup Redskin quarterback. He's number 2 in line.
3rd down and 8 at the 31-yard line. And Rippon guns it incomplete, and a flag comes down at the 18. Art Monk, the intended receiver, and Todd Scott gets up and can't believe he saw the flag.
Pass interference, number 38, defense, automatic first down.
I think that'll get flagged fewer times than it won't.
At the 18-yard line, here's Biner, and Biner throwing against the grain, and it is picked off, but out of the end zone was Vincey Glenn. He came down with it, and one official not making the call. The other with a better view said he was out of the end zone.
Biner should have pulled that ball down and run with the football. They didn't buy that at all. They're still talking about it, but I think that's way out of the back of the end zone.
Now, the one official who didn't make a call obviously felt that he didn't see enough. All right, watch number 25. There's the right, and the left is out of bounds. That's a good work by an officiating crew. The one who didn't see it well enough didn't make the call. The one who did came up. He was decisive. Call him out of the back of the end zone.
2nd and 10 at the 19-yard line. 10-12 to go in the half. 7-3 Minnesota. Rippin, incomplete. Good coverage on Gary Clark, and a flag is down back at the 24-yard line.
Illegal formation. 2 eligibles up on the line of scrimmage on the left side of the line. The penalty is declined. 3rd down.
The end man on the line of scrimmage is eligible. And in the Redskin formation, the tight end was supposed to be eligible right here. This guy needed to be back a yard. As you can see, 2 eligible players are both on the line at the same time.
It's 3rd and 10, and it's caught at the 4-yard line by Art Monk for a 1st down, and it will be 1st and goal.
And again, the zone defense, they stayed in it, even deep in their own territory. Monk came all the way from the left side, took it down deep, brought it across, and that time Rippin, how do you explain it? That was a perfectly thrown ball. Had a lot of smoke on it, hit Monk right in the numbers between 2 defenders. It couldn't be thrown better.
It's almost like those are the passes that Mark Rippin is throwing better than the shorter touch passes. Seems the more he's able to crank it up and let it go, the better success he has.
1st and goal, and they give it to Biner. And Ernest, looking for a signal, gets it. Touchdown. Ernest Biner behind Mark Schlereth on the right side, putting it into the end zone to give Washington its 1st lead of the day.
Schlereth pulls around. Watch the blocking there on the right side of your screen. Here comes Schlereth around. There's Middleton's block on Dolman. Schlereth pins Merriweather to the inside, and you got a touchdown.
So the Redskins take a 10-7 lead. On the Vikings' following drive, they couldn't make anything happen, despite this Terry Allen run. And as we rejoin the action, Washington has the ball.
At the 13-yard line, Brian Mitchell is in the game as the tailback, and he gets the ball. And Brian Mitchell out to the 23-yard line, a 9-yard gain. Jenkins makes the tackle. As we mentioned at the beginning, Ricky Irvins is hurt. He is not even dressed today, so Biner is the main man, needs some backup help, and it comes here in the form of Brian Mitchell, the kick returner. On 2nd and 1, they give it to Mitchell again. And look what the Redskins have found. Well, they found flag down at the 28.
Oh, that's going to bring it back.
Holding. Number 87 offense. 10 yards. Repeat 2nd down.
I mean, there are ways to express unhappiness if you are flagged for holding, and then there's Ron Middleton's way.
I want my blanket.
Well, there's no doubt that you're telling everybody at home and in the stadium it was on you. That hurts. That sure did. Took a 1st down now into a 2nd and long.
2nd and 11 at the 13-yard line. And Noga comes across the line. Redskins, of course, with all of their shifting and all of their motions.
Noga was saying he was drawn up by Simmons.
Well, but Simmons is going to say that I didn't move until Noga was way across the line of scrimmage. They'll have an argument here.
Gordon McCarter will have the final say. And he says,
False start. 76 offense. 5 yards. Still 2nd down.
And now the crowd noise here at the Metrodome. Jim Hannafin, I can only assume that Hannafin, that movement was so minute that he didn't see it from the Redskin bench, because it was a good call by the official.
He was just told of the movement.
Yeah. Now he'll just be mad at Simmons.
2nd and 16. And Rippin throws a strike to the 22-yard line to Clark, who nearly has his head taken off. And the helmet.
Late flag.
Mike Merriweather was the man who made the tackle. Flag came in at the end.
Yeah, and Gary Clark took a chance. He was losing yardage in an attempt to pick up yardage when he was within a yard of the 1st down marker.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness by the tackler. He grabbed the headgear and wrenched the man down by the headgear. 15 yards from the dead ball spot, first down.
You know, that's a tough call on Merriweather.
Yeah, it is.
Clark is running right back to him. That's an instinctive thing to throw out your arm.
First down up at the 37-yard line. And Rippon going deep and a little too deep off the fingertips of Art Monk.
This is how close Art Monk comes to making the big play. And as you said, Frank, the ball's just a little long. He is there, and that would have been another big Washington play. So close.
Art Monk, who's caught more passes than anybody in the history of the National Football League. 847. Here is Mitchell. Up to the 44-yard line he goes, setting up a 3rd down and 3 with 5:05 remaining in the half. 3rd and 3. 4.5 to go in the half. 10-7 Washington.
Here comes Dolman.
Rippon underneath, and Mitchell drops it, but there's a flag down. Flag down.
Number 87 offense, penalty declined, 4th down.
Penalty decline is 4th down at the 44-yard line.
Oh,
And it's a fake, and it is Brian Mitchell inside the 40, inside the 30. Biggest play of the game, takes it to the 18-yard line. They've run that before. They've run that with a lot of success. Brian Mitchell, the up back, with a first down inside the 20-yard line.
Oh, and you've got to be, if you're a special teams coach for the Minnesota Vikings, you've got to be sick about that, because you know they've talked about it during the course of the week getting ready for this game. They come out of that formation. Mitchell will be the guy if they decide to go on it. They're going to go at midfield. They're going to go on short yardage. Everything was set up for it, and it works.
well executed. Brian Mitchell, why not? We did a Monday night game where he finished up the game as quarterback. Wayne Sevier rejoicing with his big first down. You work a long time. You start in July, and it pays off in January.
And it starts with the center guy, Bingham, with a perfect snap. Ernest Biner inside the 15 takes it down to the 11-yard line. Gain of 7. Wayne Sevier with a smile on his face. Any special teams coach would be grinning. That's the biggest play of the half. They're up by 3. Minnesota was going to get the ball back, and now Washington's in the position to go up by 10.
Such a special teams tradition in our nation's capital in Washington. Started with George Allen, who really devoted so much time to special teams. Then Rusty Tillman took over for years, and it continues today.
2nd and 3. Here's Biner, and he can't get outside as Todd Scott comes up to make the tackle.
Boy, no matter what happens from here on out, the flag is down. You're going to have the players down. You're going to have to admire this Redskins team, because Minnesota comes down there immediately and scores, and they have battled to scramble back. And Jim Lachey now, who was out earlier in the season on IR with an injured knee.
Oh, this is
down
huge.
once again, and this is major for the Redskins.
Joe Jacoby is healthy. He's had a long time to rest, and he's the first guy in. But this is a major blow to the Redskins if Lachey can't continue. And he gets up, and looks like he's favoring his right leg hobbling off.
His was a knee problem earlier, as I mentioned, and for Jacoby, a back problem that took him out of play on and off throughout the course of the season. But if you have to bring somebody in to go against Chris Dolman, well, you may as well bring in the former All-Pro at that position, Joe Jacoby.
Yeah, but I think Joe Jacoby is saying to himself, how about a running play to get started?
How about a tight end over here with me?
Let's not, don't make me go one-on-one right off the bat.
3rd down and 5. Very big play for the Vikings defense to try to hold him to a field goal attempt. And it's Biner making the catch, and Biner is at the 8-yard line, and that should be enough for a first down.
And Jacoby with a good piece of work on Dolman.
Well, look how he gets into Dolman. When Joe Jacoby gets inside the framework of your arms, you are had. I mean, that is the end of that. Dolman cannot afford to lock up with Big Joe.
And Brian Mitchell is inside the 5. Brian Mitchell is in for the touchdown.
As well blocked an offensive play as you will ever see. Brilliant execution by the Redskins. The lead blockers, the tight ends, and the offensive line, Frank, that's beautiful.
Minnesota thinking fast. We talked about the size. They're small up front. They're thinking pass. You come at the draw play. They're in their pass rush mode, and the Redskins blocked it out beautifully.
And Merriweather, 57, watch him to the right. He's going to be the only Viking with a clean shot, and he falls off Brian Mitchell. Mike Merriweather could have made that play up around the 5-yard line. He's unaccounted for and doesn't make the play, and flags are all over the place.
That's one thing. Those outside linebackers, Dan, are small. Merriweather, great player that he is a 225-pounder. The other one, Jenkins, about a 215-pounder. And if somebody like a Brian Mitchell, a 200-pound running back, you're going to have a hard time bringing him down the side.
Yeah, but you can't confuse Brian Mitchell with Christian Okoye.
Snap, 99 defense. 5 yards will be assessed on the kickoff.
Well, Chip Low-Miller finally did make the extra point to give the Redskins a 10-point half-time lead. So, a great half for the Washington Redskins. For the second half of the game and a whole lot more, join us after this break. Back, everybody. At the half of our first playoff game of the season, Washington leads Minnesota by a score of 17-7. And it must be said that since the Vikings' first drive, the Redskins' defense hasn't given them anything. Sean Salisbury, in his first ever playoff game, is beginning to show the strain of being in the postseason. And Mark Rippon, behind a fit and dominant offensive line, is gaining in confidence. One thing's for sure, Dennis Green, who's also in his first postseason game, didn't need to be down 17-7 to Coach Gibbs, who's now coached 20 playoff games and has only lost 4 of those. This Redskins team is tried and tested in this situation, and I really believe that for the Vikings to win, they must find a way to pressure Mark Rippon, something they haven't done in the first half. So to see if Dennis Green can continue this Cinderella first season, let's go back to a snow-covered Metrodome. The second half began with a succession of punts. Neither Mark Rippon nor the Vikings' Sean Salisbury were able to move the ball. The Redskins have possession as we rejoin the game with 6.5 minutes left in the third quarter.
Well, the other quarterback for the Vikings is the man in the hat and the jacket, and that's Rich Gannon, who was their starter through much of the season. Now it's Salisbury. Dennis Green told us yesterday it's Sean all the way. Today, we'll see. First down at the 29-yard line for Washington. And Brian Mitchell starts with a 5-yard gain to the 34.
As Dennis said, his philosophy is that, hey, I made the decision that this is my #1 guy, so I feel that he's the best man for this particular game. Number 2, he takes all the reps during practice, so he's the most qualified to play, and he just doesn't believe in pulling in substitutions. And there's a good example. Gannon has never been a substitute in his career. But this is a playoff game. This is a playoff game. If you don't win this, there's nothing left. So the temptation has to be there for Dennis Green.
2nd and 5, and Mitchell fights his way up to the 40-yard line. Big day for Brian Mitchell. Mike Merriweather makes the tackle. Again, if you don't follow the Redskins that closely, Ernest Biner's their key guy. Ricky Irvins is their number 2 guy, but Irvins is hurt today, so Brian Mitchell's had to fill a big role today, and he has filled it brilliantly as you look at Ricky Irvins.
He just battled for another first down. Irvins on the sideline with a bad ankle, and Biner, we already told you about him with the bad back and perhaps something else earlier in the game.
Told you McMillan came out, the cornerback, the right corner for Minnesota, bicep injury. Questionable as to his return, and Parker spells him. And Parker locked up right now one-on-one with Monk as Mitchell somehow finds room up to the 45-yard line, gain of 5. Carlos Jenkins makes the tackle, and we have less than 5 minutes to play in the third quarter.
Vikings, you get the feeling they need a big play at this point. They need a turnover, a fumble, somebody to knock the ball out of there, somebody to scoop it up, do something big for them. The Redskins are taking total control of this game. They, right now, are owning the line of scrimmage. And Tony Dungy knows that, the defensive coordinator of Minnesota, very well. They need a big play.
2nd and 5 from the 45-yard line. And there is Mitchell getting to midfield, and if the nose of the ball is on the 50-yard line, he's got a first down. And he does.
You mentioned the line of scrimmage, Frank, and that's what we're seeing. Of course, how many times have we seen it over the career of Joe Gibbs and this Redskin offensive line? The longer the game goes on, their physical prowess begins to assert itself. And this last play is a classic look at it. Look at the surge on the left side. Brian Mitchell, not a power back, is not contested until he's 4 yards downfield.
1st and 10 at the 50. 17-7 Washington. Mitchell stopped at his own 48 by Jack Del Rio.
I think maybe the Redskins had one too many motions that time. What'd they have? 2 motions, 3 shifts.
But you can see they had the Vikings a little bit confused. The problem is they confused themselves a little bit.
I think so.
Jack Del Rio, what a Plan B player he has been. From Dallas, originally drafted as an All-American out of USC to New Orleans, went to Kansas City. Dallas put him on Plan B, probably because they thought he came up here, liked it, moved up here, and he has been one of the key reasons this Vikings defense has gone from 14th to 8th.
2nd and 12. Here is Monk. And Monk gets tackled by Parker, who's in there subbing for McMillan, and that's a 4-yard loss.
When a wide receiver is playing running back, which Monk had to do there, their instincts aren't as good as a regular running back. And Art should have cut back to the inside, utilizing his blocker. Instead, he jumps outside to the sideline and gets tackled. He should have jabbed inside of Ray Brown there. Instead, he went outside, and Anthony Parker nails him for an even bigger loss.
3rd down and 16 at the 44. 2:10 left in the 3rd. Redskins up by 10. Dolman can't sack Rippon, who then finds Clark at the 26 for a big 1st down. On 3rd and 16, Dolman just couldn't get Rippon down, and then Mark stepping up and finding the open man.
And Gary Clark knew he was going to take his shot, and he got one, but Mark Rippon, he sometimes, like I said, he can break your heart, and then he can absolutely make your heart beat. Out of sheer joy. This is a great play, get him away from Dolman, and he finds Clark and fires it in there.
What's unusual about that is that the the Vikings always have such good pressure in the middle. Their 2 tackles are always in the quarterback's face, and that's really unusual. Dolman forces him up in the middle, and Rippon's able to get it away.
Gain of 29, 1st down at the 27-yard line. Here's Ernest Finer, tackled by Del Rio after a gain of 3 to the 24. And the Redskins now not only moving the ball downfield, but Rippon using as much of the clock, and we have less than a minute to go in the 3rd quarter.
It's not the point of the ball game where it's crucial. I mean, like where you don't have any chances left. But the Vikings trailing by 10 points with Washington outside of scoring territory with a 3rd and 16. To give up that play is a real backbreaker. A real backbreaker.
2nd and 7 at the 24. Oh, and Rippon nearly had it picked off at the 19-yard line by Henry Thomas.
Well, he nearly knocked Thomas down with it.
Well, they come with the blitz. Yeah, they come with the blitz.
It forced Rippon out of the pocket, but he's looking right downfield at Henry Thomas, and he just drilled him. That could have stuck in the mask. I didn't think he's ever going to get that through there. Thomas is there. Del Rio is there. And maybe he accomplished what he wanted to do. Hit him so hard he couldn't hold on to it.
Unless he accomplished his mission, if his mission was to break a couple of Henry Thomas's fingers.
If you throw it into a defender's hands, it might as well be a defensive tackle. 3rd down and 7. Rippon for Clark, who's open. Touchdown.
And a great read with Rippon and Clark. Picked up the single coverage on the blitz. The Vikings ordinarily sitting in that zone. Rippon read it. Clark read it. And let's see him on the sidelines.
Eric Everett didn't read it.
Watch this. There it is. He was John all over him as he left the field at halftime. And what a combination. Wide open. Back of the end zone.
Chip Low-Miller was successful with the extra point, and that put the Redskins ahead 24-7 at the end of the third quarter. So after 3 quarters, the reigning Super Bowl champions look, perhaps for the first time this season, like the team that so convincingly won the Super Bowl last year. For the Vikings to win, they must stop the Redskins' offensive line from dictating the game, and they need a spark on offense. Perhaps a change at quarterback would help. Or how about Chris Bonington, as they certainly have a mountain to climb. Join us after the break for more playoff action. Welcome back, everybody. Well, in the fourth quarter, the Redskins totally dominated the game, never giving Minnesota the opportunity to win. This was a great display of coaching and execution by Washington. And there we see it. It's the end of the game. A great win for Washington's Joe Gibbs and his team. And unfortunately, we see Coach Green there being congratulated by him. But he did win the NFC Central title. And Gibbs joked earlier before the game that he started his career as a coach at 0-5. And I think now, though, with his 16 wins in 20 games in the playoffs, he surely has experience on his side as they now move on in the playoffs. And the Vikings had a perfect start to this game by driving downfield for the touchdown. But the Redskins didn't flinch. They stuck to their game plan and methodically marched downfield. This was a superb display of football in every aspect of the game. Washington's defense was dominant, allowing the Vikings the least yards offensively in a playoff game since 1943. Their special teams were creative and effective, and offensively, the own line enabled Mark Rippon to move the ball in the air and Mitchell and Byers to do so on the ground. And this is what Mark Rippon had to say about his team's future in the playoffs after the game.
Well, it really is too early to start, saying, hey, I told you so or anything like that. We got a lot of football left, hopefully, and it's back to the drawing board again. We looked at this playoffs and we felt the one advantage we had was, we got some guys in this team that got 14, 15 playoff wins, and you look across the board, you look at Minnesota, a lot of the guys there, his first opportunity. You look at a team like Dallas, New Orleans, and Philadelphia, that a lot of them don't even have a playoff win.
Well, will they be back to the Super Bowl in Pasadena? We'll have to see. But just how good are the Redskins now playing? Well, we'll soon have a look at that next weekend as we find out as they travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. That really should be a superb matchup of two battle-hardened playoff sides. Mark also made a relevant point that pertains to today's other playoff game, the importance of experience. Last week we saw Kansas City's defense demolish Denver, and they'll want to do exactly the same as they visit San Diego. The Chiefs enter the postseason for a club record 3rd year, but San Diego haven't made the playoffs for 10 years. So the question is whether or not their experience will show, and Gary's been following that story.
Well, make an intriguing matchup, this one. The Chargers, the only team in history to make the playoffs after losing their first 4 games, and probably the team with the most momentum going into the postseason, having won 11 of their last 12. The one defeat during that stretch, though, was to Kansas City, who also beat them on the opening day of the season. So it's the informed Chargers versus the only team to beat them twice. Well, a wet and miserable day in San Diego, but the good news for the Chargers was that quarterback Stan Humphries, the man who's led their offensive surge into the playoffs, was sufficiently recovered from a shoulder injury to lead them into their first postseason game for a decade. And he started well, connected with Nate Lewis for 39 yards on the Chargers' opening drive. But then came the bad news. Running back Rod Bernstein, who's had his share of injuries this season, out with a sprained ankle. That left Marion Butts to carry more of the load. With the Chargers threatening at the Kansas City 9-yard line, he fumbled a handoff, and the Chiefs' Neil Smith recovered it. The current ball carrier of the week in the Kansas City rotator back system is Harvey Williams. Here he is, spinning past the first tackler to turn a loss into positive yardage. But the real story of the first half was defense. The Chargers stopping Williams behind the line of scrimmage. Then the Chiefs sending Albert Lewis on a corner blitz to sack Stan Humphries, before reverting to their regular dispensers of quarterback Payne, Derek Thomas from the right, and from the left, Neil Smith, who steals Stan Humphries' hand towel as a trophy to show the lads back in the locker room. 4 sacks for the Chiefs in the first half, but on the other side of the ball, Dave Craig wasn't getting off scot-free, taken down there by Bert Grossman. An excitement, San Diego in field goal range. John Carney tries his luck from 52 yards and doink. And that about summed up the first half. Thankfully, though, there was some entertainment on hand for the fans at half-time. And for a while, it looked as though that might be the play of the game, but in the third quarter, the Chargers finally got a drive going. Stan Humphries here hitting Ronnie Harmon, who fights for the first down. And same play, same personnel for 8. And finally, Marion Butts, the man who fumbled away the Chargers' best chance of a score in the first half, making amends with a 42-yard run all the way into the end zone. The deadlock was broken to to the absolute delight of the San Diego players and fans. On Kansas City's next drive, Dave Craig tried to throw over the middle. His pass was tipped at the line of scrimmage, as Leslie O'Neal intercepted. 3 plays later, John Carney got his second chance to score. His field goal attempt was good from 34 yards. So going into the 4th quarter, the Chargers led the Chiefs 10-0. We pick up the action with the Chargers driving from their own 9. The commentators are Brent Musburger and Dick Vermeil.
Butts, who scored the game's only touchdown, is wrapped up. 2nd down and 6. Stan Humphries, acquired from the Redskins in a trade. Butts, popped by Bayless.
That offensive line is coming off the ball real well. This time they used a wham blocker, meaning they took a back and let him through on the defensive lineman. You'll see what I'm talking about right here. Watch the back to the left-hand corner of your screen. See, now watch him come through. That's Alfred Papuno. Now watch him come in and wham! That sealed the hole off inside, but they couldn't block Bayless sitting back there.
Now it's 3rd down. Humphries goes downfield. It is caught by Miller. Fumble. Loose ball. Oh, and the Chargers wrap it up. Gets back on it.
When it's going your way, it's going your way. Miller told me the other day he would rather go deep on Kevin Ross than he would on Carter or Albert Lewis. He had his opportunity that time. Perfect protection, could step up, throw it out there in front. See, he has him beaten to the inside. Now watch this, the ball gets knocked out right here. It's going your way when this happens. Everyone's going to come in there and try to get it. Excellent effort by a backside receiver to keep the ball moving. Excellent.
Great.
Chargers wanted it more.
Anthony Miller went hard after that loose ball. Neil Smith can't get in on Bieniemy. And there's a penalty flag down on the play.
Brent, the effort made by Chargers to get that ball was much greater than the Chiefs to recover that ball. Boy, they were flying for it. Again, taking a look at the end of that previous play. Nice catch. This guy can fly. 2nd fastest man in the NFL. Only Green from the Redskins beat him a couple years ago. Ball knocked out. Now watch the black jerseys flash. Oh.
Well, we'll get back to that in a moment. This was an offside penalty here. So it is going to be a 1st and 5. You can see that the ball has been spotted close to the 23. Coach Ross and the Chargers in a commanding position now against Schottenheimer and the Chiefs. With 8 minutes to go, a 10-point lead and driving again and using Bieniemy on a change of pace down to the 21-yard line. Chris Martin. So here we want to see the end of the play. You will watch Brennan come in, and he helps keep one of the Chargers out. And then Miller will come flashing in there, and as Dick pointed out, he wanted it more. There was Brennan, and Miller just goes in and simply takes it away.
Tahan Lewis didn't respond as aggressively, that's all. Bobby Ross said it's not enough to get here.
Humphries incomplete.
Now they're going to call
and Simeon hit the receiver right in the middle. One of the things about Stan Humphries that you notice, he is a tough hombre. In the National Football League, you got to have guts to play quarterback, and he will hang in.
That ball was batted there, and they didn't call pass interference. See that right there? They ruled the ball uncatchable.
Papuno went down.
The hands are getting higher in the back of the forehead there.
Needing a couple of yards. Enemy gives it to him.
Great block by left guard Eric Moten, 77. He knew they were coming up behind him. Here he is over on the left side of the quarterback. Watch 77 come off the football here. Wham! Look at that. Butt down, moving those feet, turn them out. Good job by Eric Moten.
The offensive line for the Chargers has been the difference. 162 yards rushing today to 61 for the Chiefs.
You know, the guy coaching that offensive line is an old tough guy himself, and Carl Mock. He played for a long time.
Here's the enemy on a delay, crossing the 15-yard line.
This is the kind of football they wanted to play. They wanted to run the football. Marty didn't want to allow them to run the football. The game is being won in the pitch. Offensive line dominating right now for the Chargers.
Ross said football is a line of scrimmage game, and his offensive line doing the job here today.
Didn't he tell us he just walks up and down the line of scrimmage and practices and makes sure they're working with the right feet, putting the hat in the right spot, coming off in the right courses.
The enemy. And that change of pace runner.
I'll tell you, that time Eric Moten, the left guard again, came off the ball, and I think I saw a pancake. You don't see a pancake very often in the National Football League, meaning they took a defender and put him on his back. Good job, Mr. Moten. Take a quick look at this on the left side of your screen. Nice little crash in there, flattens, and there goes another man down.
Now you can look into the eyes of that defensive line, starting to reel a little bit, knowing that time is running out, and all you've planned for this season is about to come to an end unless something big happens. The Chiefs have to stop them here. Now the ball is down near the 5-yard line. Touchdown, Steve Hendrickson. Oh, what a moment for him. Your first carry of the year, and you put your team to the next level in the playoffs.
It's just a counter. They start one way, and he comes slashing back to the inside off that right there, right up inside. Fullback, linebacker, special teams player, a tempo setter for the football team. And I think Bobby Ross called that play, put him in there for that reason. A little trap block right there. Good wham block by the tight end coming across. He called it because that guy earned the right to score that touchdown.
Don't let up. Don't let up. You coach every second of your life in the NFL.
Well, San Diego's defense came out charging on the Chiefs following possession. David Craig here suffering at the hand of Blaze Winter, which I'm assured is his real name. We rejoin their drive with just over 4 minutes left.
The Chiefs are out of timeouts. They trail it by 17, and their season about to come to an end here in San Diego.
I'll bet you, knowing Marty Schottenheimer like I do, I'll bet they do a lot of reevaluating the overall approach to offensive football. You know, they're getting in the playoffs and not going to that next level.
There is Alex Spanos, and he has known the bad times here in San Diego. What was he telling us about the reaction to his ownership?
He said every time we lose in all the bad years, it's my fault. We get it going now and got the right coach, everything going well, and it's everybody else's fault that they're having success. He's not getting any of the credit is what he's saying.
O'Neal got a piece of that one.
Everything starts at the top.
Not been shut out since 1987, 94 games. And that could happen right here with 3:57 to go. Junior Seau, what did he say at the top of the broadcast? We'll smile, we'll rejoice when this is over.
You know, in talking with Schottenheimer, he has not faulted his quarterback for the offense not really being good. He said through the year, he's only had about 8 bad quarters, and not all in a row either. I mean, different times, but overall, he thinks David Craig has done a good job for him.
You pay a price when you face that man as a coordinator, and he's got talent on the defensive side of the ball. That has always been the case. No kneel. Craig steps away. Fumble. Wrap it up. Stanley Richard.
Trying to make something happen. Hard outside rush again by O'Neal. Another back rush up inside. Here, and it's stripped from behind there by Lee. Now he kicks it downfield, and Stanley Richard comes up with the ball. It's one they won't forget for a long time.
Well, the fumble recovery did wrap the game up. The Chiefs were shut out for the first time since 1987, and the Chargers' amazing run continues. Final score, 17-0.
So with those 2 games played now, it means that San Diego will visit Miami Dolphins next week. That game is late on Sunday. And in the NFC, it's Washington going to Candlestick Park to take on the San Francisco 49ers. And that's late on Saturday night. So some excellent games today. And what do you think? The ramifications of those games, Gary?
Oh, thanks for putting me on the spot. Interesting fact from the NFL archives. The last time San Diego were in the playoffs, 1982, they won their first round game, went to Miami and lost. I'm not saying that's not saying it's an omen. I think they're the dark horse in the AFC, actually.
Yeah, well, they've been hot, like you were saying. But I have to admit, when I look at the AFC, I think I see 4 teams from the NFC that's better than the top team in the AFC. Now, who's your top team in the AFC? For me right now, it's still Buffalo, but Houston's playing a little bit better now. Who else? I mean, it's tough. Any favourites? Has it changed any? We made our own predictions about 8 weeks ago.
Well, I still think it will be San Francisco and Dallas in the NFC Championship game, and the winner will beat whoever the AFC can put up.
Any choice in there?
Buffalo.
Well, I can't dispute that. I think there's also going to be another great game next week. Before San Francisco gets to Dallas, they've got to go through Washington. The way Washington played today, who knows? So the playoffs at last are underway. We'll be back later tonight. That's tonight. At the slightly later time of 8:45 as the Houston Oilers travel to Rich Stadium to play the Buffalo Bills for the second AFC wildcard clash. Can the Oilers accomplish back-to-back wins over the Bills? Well, with the Oilers' Warren Moon due to start his first game in 7 weeks and the Bills' Jim Kelly sidelined through injury and replaced by backup Frank Reich, both teams going into their most important game of the season with serious question marks. But the winner of this game could suddenly become the AFC's favourite team for the Super Bowl, if there's any such thing. So, until then, we leave you with the final thoughts of both quarterbacks. Good night.
Well, I'll tell you what,